Two, one. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts, but today we are going to be going on about a film that uh, my fiance decided to choose. It is a film that was filmed in 1964, uh, directed by Arthur Lubin. Um, but it also has some other directors involved with it because it is part live action and part animation. The other directors that are involved were Bill Taitia, Robert McKimson, Holly Pratt, and Jerry Janicki, and they were over at Warner Brothers Cartoons. This happens to be the last film of, or at least anything that was done over at Warner Brothers Cartoons. It includes musical songs that were written by Sammy Fain in collaboration with Harold Adamson that include I Wish I Were a Fish, Be Careful How You Wish, and Deep Rapture. The film stars Don Knotts, Carol Cook, and Jack Weston, among others. Um, Don Knotts and Carol Cook were both regulars on Andy Griffith's Mayberry Studios. If you know anything about Don Knotts, he was Andy Griffith's slightly dim partner, and Carol Cook
Slightly.
Ended up being Gomer Pyle's girlfriend later on in the Gomer Pyle series as well. So let's go into what this film is about. Let's see what IMDb says about it. Pulling it up right now. Okay, so meek and mild-mannered bookkeeper Henry Limpet has a few passions in life. It's mid 1941, and he would love to join the Navy, but has been rated 4F. His friend George Stickle is in the Navy and lays it on pretty thick. If Henry could have one thing, it would be to become a fish. While on a visit to Coney Island, Henry falls into the water and miraculously gets his wish. Now a fish, he makes friends, ladyfish, and Krusty the hermit crab, and loves his new life. He also uses his ability to help the U.S. Navy locate and sink Nazi U-boats, forcing the Germans to create a new weapon to deal with the Allies' secret weapon. When years later the Navy finds intelligent activity amongst dolphins, they may know who is teaching them. So, first impressions.
Hey, Dave, why don't you explain what 4F is to Boris and anyone else out there that isn't familiar with the English language?
Well, I, as far as I gathered, I guess it means something that he is not fit to go to the war, but what exactly it means, I don't know.
4F is the classification in U.S. Selective Service System identifying a person as unfit for military services. 4F correlator in Fourier optics. The basically it is a draft classification.
But they actually came out with the 4F club where people that couldn't serve would do other charities and things like that to help the country in their own way.
Which oftentimes the Red Cross was associated with the American Red Cross
Yep.
was one of those which um, oftentimes nurses and doctors alike would be part of those units, um, just in case they needed to sever an arm or a leg that was beyond repair, or some such. But in any case, let us go into first impressions with Boris. Was this a first time watch for you?
Yes, yes, it was the first time, and wow, this was a very strange movie, I must say. It was fun at moments. It also had moments when I was severely annoyed at certain characters' actions. Uh,
Ditto.
right. Uh, but yeah, it did have its good moments, and maybe it's not the type of movie I would regularly go for, but it was okay to watch once. If any of you are huge fans of it, of course, I don't mean any disrespect to anyone. Maybe I'm not deeply impressed by it, but I can somewhat see why some other people might be, especially if you have an aquarium or something.
Okay. Is that pretty much it for first impressions, Ben?
I think so.
Okay. Heading over to you, Tammy. This was your pick. Why don't you tell us? Was this a first time watch for you?
No, it evidently is not the first time. I don't remember my first time, but I thought it was really cute. And I've I've enjoyed Don Knotts in other movies, and of course his role on Three's Company and everything. And I didn't
And
really
then
watch
knock
him
on the
too much
door.
when he was in the older ones, but I watched those here and there, the older shows. But he's always been a fun character, and I think that's why I was interested in the movie the first time I watched it. But yeah, I thought it was cute. It was fun. It was, you know, and enjoyable because it was just, the
Mm,
concept of it was just really, really out there too. It was like, yeah,
Uh,
a fish is helping the navy. But
Yeah, I must admit the idea is great. It somewhat reminds me of what some B movie filmmaker would come up with. So I did like the idea, but there were some things about the main characters that was kind of annoying me, and maybe I would have enjoyed the movie much better if it wasn't for those things. But we will get into that.
well, the thing is, the concept too, in a way, it wasn't totally far off because they had used dolphins at times for things in the Navy. I remember things about that dolphins would help place things on ships and
Whew.
everything. But which of course, the animal rights and stuff got involved in that because they thought that was inhumane. Because if things went wrong, well, there wouldn't be a dolphin, you know. But and I can understand that, but in a way, it kind of hints on that, even though dolphins don't talk, of course, to the like this does because of the cartoon part of it. But I thought it was fun, and I thought it was a neat concept that at the time, it was a probably a fun thing for people to lighten the mood and everything. That this fish is helping the navy and everything. So,
Mm.
but that's all.
Okay. Heading over to you, Kroll. Was this a first time watch for you?
No, I saw this when I was a kid. Um, when I was a kid, I didn't really like it at all. Um, the little funny moments and jokes I laughed at now as an adult, I didn't get. I was too young. So him being a animated fish didn't really impress me at all. So yeah, I really didn't enjoy it the first time I saw it. Like I said, definitely not my cup of tea. Uh, there were moments in it where I did laugh though. So there was mostly the animated stuff was better than any of the live action. A lot of the live action was either kooky or annoying. So yeah, I don't really give it a high rating, but some people might like it. um, but yeah, it's yeah. I can see why WB closed down, their animated division after this.
Ouch.
But yeah, so sorry, and I do like I love Don Knotts in Three's Company. He was great in that. And I can't think of any of the other movies he's been in, but I've seen quite a few of his movies. He's not a favorite actor of mine, but he's okay. This one he wasn't. I don't know. He was a little funnier as the fish. Um, as the guy, it was kind of annoying, but he wasn't the worst character. His wife was, I mean, I don't know. She was like hot and cold. She seemed to like completely into her friend more than she was her husband. But then she seemed like, she was trying to get him to do stuff, but then um, she seemed so upset when he died. But it just, I don't know. It seemed like she was acting when she was upset. Like she didn't really care. But I don't know. She just like him and George like just looking at the two of them like they scream, "We're having an affair," like yeah. They never came out and said that or anything, and never answered to it. But it really came out that way. I mean, it really seemed like they were like we had way more in common, and they were like into each other way more than him and his wife. He just seemed to have nothing in common with her, which opposites attract. But yeah, it just seemed like they didn't even really like each other that much to me. And the friend, which I'm from the story, I guess she was his friend first, or he met her first because he came over as like a suitor. Um, and for some reason, she married our main character and not him, which doesn't really make sense because they've got along way better. But yeah, it just but he did try to save his life, so I guess he wasn't. I don't know. I really could get that they were busy with each other. I really got that vibe. But he did try to save his life, and he almost went in a second time and stuff. So I guess it wasn't all that bad, and they never brought that up. So maybe it was just imagined. But it really felt that way. Maybe the stars were having an affair or were romantically involved, and I caught the chemistry between them or something. But yeah, I definitely felt that way. But I didn't really. There were moments when I liked the characters, but the friend was kind of annoying a lot of times. I mean, his especially in the very beginning when he was an old man, the way he was like scared to like even say what um his friend was. He's a fish and stuff. It's just I don't know. I guess it's that overacting of the time period that I just never really liked much. Um, why I was never a fan of the original Star Trek because that's exactly what Kirk, William Shatner always did, because it was the thing of the time. I get that. I'm just not a big fan of the overacting myself, unless it's done in jest of the old stuff. So, um, then I like it. If it's a parody, I like it. But if it's supposed to be more of the serious side, then I don't. That's my first opinion on it, or
Okay.
my only opinion.
Uh, as far as the movie goes, this is not my first time watching this film. It was a film that was introduced to me by, I believe, my mom. Uh, I think we
Whoa.
actually had it taped on VHS. And I also did like various films of Don Knotts. He's not always a likable character because he is a very fidgety character, whatever his stick is, you know. Uh, he's he's probably as fidgety as you would want in a very annoying character, and whenever he's in something, you don't entirely like him, but I do get his shtick, and it is comedic at times, and I think it sort of works for this movie. This is his first role as um, a lead character in a movie, so there is that. And you normally see him as a dumb character, whereas in here he is a very intellectual character. He's just very nerdy, you know. Um, I mean, when he pulls down that amphibian like chart for his friend who has absolutely no clue or interest in this chart, he's talking about all these different periods and shit. And he's very into this fish history, you know. So it's it's entertaining at parts, and I do believe that this deserves to have a place in animation history, um, because the animation does hold up to this day. I mean, the animation kind of reminds me of that which we see in bed knobs and broomsticks and the under the sea parts just a little bit. But which Tammy had been thinking that this was part of Disney, but it is in fact part of the Warner Brothers cartoon studios. So I do believe that this was a contender at the time for live action and animation put together. But it did get mixed reviews at the time, and I found that out later. So, but yeah, I enjoy this more out of nostalgia. I get that some of the characters are annoying. Like I as an adult do see that there almost is like zero chemistry between the wife and Don Knotts. Like you can't see how the fuck they even like got married because you know he's so head stuck in his book, and she just seems to be annoyed with everything that he does.
Uh, in my
You know,
opinion, that moment when she told him that he had to choose between his fish and her, he should have just told her to get the fuck out of his house and never
I
appear
said bye,
before him.
wife.
Exactly. That's one of the main things that annoyed me about the story and about Henry as a character, that he gave into that shitty ultimatum and still even cared about her after becoming a fish.
well, I think it even pushes him more, and we'll get into the plot line in a moment. So let's begin. So it actually begins in a military base, where we see these two military men walking down hallway after hallway beyond secret doors and top secret doors until they reach a file room, which that very beginning is very elaborate, just to show you how top secret this this fucking thing is. Because they have several guarded doors that they have to pass through in order to get to this file room. But once they get to the file room, they begin to reminisce about apparently this time period of 1941, that when they first met Henry Limpet, which apparently is the secret file that they have on, the Navy's secret weapon, which we find out through the reminiscing of, I believe it was Stickle, who was reminiscing. Apparently, he'd been invited to an afternoon with his friends, which just so happens to be Mr. and Mrs. Limpet. And but before that happens, we actually have a scene where apparently Henry Limpet is in fact a book guy, and he's reminiscing about being a naval officer, standing at a window with his hand on a captain's wheel that just so happens to be in the bookkeeping office, which apparently is full of ladies, and he's apparently the only guy. And one of his fellow coworkers notices him standing there, and she laughs at him. Because
he was saluting out the window to the naval ships.
Yep.
And that's why she's laughing.
That's so mean though, because then she gets everybody snickering, and it's like,
I know. I was like,
poor guy alone.
shut up, you fucking whale.
So the
Those
guy
are the
likes to
glass houses
fantasize
and
a little
throw
bit.
stones.
The guy likes to fantasize a little bit, a bit. Well, anyways, he comes out of his reverie, realizes that he was being a little strange, and walks over.
I think it was more of he was just embarrassed of all the people, looking and laughing at him. That was just rude.
Agreed. And
They're
then
all fucking rude. Like,
he
the
sits
bitch
down to his
for
desk.
saying it in the first place, and then all of them like snickering and laughing at him because he was looking out the window and saluting.
And he sits down at his desk, and he drops his spectacles. And apparently there is a female employee that seems to really shine on him a little bit. Like she's
Until she finds out that the fish in the water cooler is his.
true, because she goes in and screams at this fish that's in their actual drinking water, which that was a weird drinking water thing.
I thought it was funny. I
Yeah,
wouldn't want to drink the water out of it, but I still thought it was funny.
I thought it was kind of funny too. Oh, that's my fish. But he carries his fish home, and that's when we realized that his wife has invited their naval friend over. He's trying to get, from my understanding, he's trying to get him out of his world so that they can have an afternoon. At first, it's a picnic, then it's the Coney Island, and all the while that they're trying to get him out of his reverie, he's like playing around with his aquarium and over floods the thing and gets like water on her nice, clean rugs. And that's when she says, Henry, it's either me or the fish has got to go.
Uh, yeah, I must say, I was very much annoyed by the wife and the friend as soon as they appeared. But at that moment, when Henry gave in to her blackmail, I kind of lost respect for him as a character too.
Well, it was an ultimatum. It wasn't really blackmail. When you're a
Mm,
husband and wife or a deal, if you're married to someone, normally it is not your rules that go; it is hers.
When
There is
I was
no
given an ultimatum
interference
uh,
in
once,
the relationship.
I was given an ultimatum once in the relationship. We're no longer together. So you can guess what I did.
um,
And it wasn't even so much of not wanting to do what she said. It was the position that she put me in of giving me an ultimatum. Like, no,
uh,
don't fucking manipulate me.
uh,
Just go ahead and go if that's what you want to do. 'Cause that's what it
uh,
is. It's manipulation, and yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah, but in any
exactly,
relationship I've ever been in, there is always some type of manipulation,
and
and
besides
Saying
that.
you've been in the wrong relationships.
And besides that, if you get into a relationship with someone, you accept that person as they are. You don't try to change them, and you accept their hobbies as a part of what they are.
Tammy, you're a woman. You're a female. What is your
There is
situation?
compromise, but you know,
Yeah, there should be some compromise, but it
on on,
depends on if
on
the
both
other
sides.
party is willing to compromise, which doesn't happen that often.
Well, the compromise would have maybe been if he bought a new carpet with his money, but this was bullshit.
That would that would have been a good compromise.
What if you were in that situation? What would you have done, Tammy?
I probably would have been mad at him for messing up my rug, but if he said he was going to clean it all up, then I would have been okay.
Okay.
That's fair enough.
My assumption was that there had been many instances where this type of thing had happened, and she was just fed up with it.
I
So,
can understand that very much.
That's
if there had been many instances where this type of thing had happened with this fish, if there was multiple times where this had happened, what would y'all say then?
in
I
my
can understand her getting fed up if it happened multiple times.
I could understand her getting upset if it happened multiple times, too. But um, I think she went above and beyond it, and um, you know, people say things when they're upset and in a fight, right? If it was that, then she would have apologized and not made him actually get rid of the fish. Whereas she not only made him get rid of the fish, but when he was upset about it, she completely dismissed his feelings altogether. And again, she may have been
yeah.
justified in being upset because it happened multiple times, but she was definitely not justified in completely ignoring how his feelings on getting rid of his fish.
Yeah, and if she had that much of a problem with the fish, she shouldn't have married him to begin with.
Um, I think it should have at least been something that had should have been talked about before they got into the relationship, before it got this far along,
Yeah.
because communication kind of goes both ways. If you didn't like something like before you married him, you should have come up with all the
Well, my uncle put it this way, and from what I've seen a lot, I think it's pretty damn true. Men marry women hoping they'll never change. Women marry men hoping they will. The woman changes and the man doesn't. So. There you go.
Makes sense.
I can relate.
There you go.
Well, there are just certain things you just cannot change in a man, and I,
Anything,
I think that
anything he doesn't want you to. He doesn't want to change.
uh, he doesn't want to change, and I think that plays a part in Henry Limpet's life going forward because they do go to Coney Island, and it does look like you know a nice little picnic, but it seems like she definitely seems more into the friend.
Well, she
Uh,
definitely. I
Guard.
mean, she did call him over and said, come eat. So I mean, she wasn't completely. She didn't completely ignore him. But yeah, you're right. She definitely, like I said, if they 100% screamed, "We're having an affair," like they screamed at every fucking scene they were in, "We're having an affair," you know.
Yeah.
With the exception of actually after he died, which is weird, you know. And when they said they were together, like when he said, later when they said that they had gotten together, that surprised me not at all. The only thing that surprised me was that they had not gotten together in the first place, and she married him. So, yeah, definitely. Sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to weigh in there for a second on that one.
not a problem. So, he's while the picnic is going on, they're at the Coney Island Pier, is where they are, and he's looking over the rail into the water, and you can see that there's a school of fish swimming there, and his friend's trying to talk to him, and he's completely like zoning,
Oblivious.
yeah, oblivious to what he's saying, and he uh, uh, th- this isn't the first time that he actually wished that he was a fish, because after he was told to get rid of the fish, he goes into this reverie, or actually it was before, because
Yeah, it was
he
before.
actually said that
That's why the water was spilling over in the tank, because he was daydreaming about being a fish in the fish world, and he wasn't paying attention to the water spilling over. He was saying there was something wrong with the pump, but I think it was just he didn't shut it off because he wasn't paying attention.
correct.
Which is probably why the wife was upset. But
And this is the part where you kind of have to extend your belief a little bit, because he's literally getting down like on his knees and saying, I wish I were a fish." And because he wished so badly.
and just like any Disney movie, it had. Oh wait, this isn't Disney.
But it does kind of look like Disney,
Oh,
doesn't
it
it?
totally.
When you
And
wish
even
upon
wishes,
a
like
star.
he wishes, it makes a wish, and it comes true. It's just it screams Disney all over.
And
I'm just shocked that
which
it was.
makes you
the
wonder if some of the animators weren't like part of Disney at one point.
I'm sure
uh,
that were. I mean, it
yeah, the
really the
animation
whole the whole
style
the whole
too.
movie screams Disney, not just the animation though. But yeah, everyone said that he fell in. But man, I'm sitting there. Did he fall in? Like this in the paper, like he fell in or jumped. And I'm thinking it really felt more like he jumped because we don't know because they panned away and we just see a splash. Like did he just jump in? Like you know um.
Well, because this is
Or,
Warner Brothers, they did the human to fish transformation before Disney did their Little Mermaid fish to human transformation. So
yeah.
um, there was a little bit of a transformation part as you saw him fall, you know, um, and I mean it kind of
It would
used a
be if
little
they
bit
redid
of
that
sketch.
movie these days. It'd be CGI. The animated.
Yeah. And he turns into a fish. Not sure what kind of a fish, but
A flounder.
he's not a flounder though.
That's what the hermit crab said.
He called him a flatbush.
Yes, but he called him a flounder first. He's called him a four-eyed flounder. That was another thing. Like, they met. He was grumpy and, like, wanting to kick his butt and told him to get out. And then, like, 10 minutes later, they were best friends.
Well, that's because after the little crab got caught up by the octopus, he
Oh,
made Limpet made that noise
oh, I must
and
have
got the
glanced away and
octopus
missed that part.
to let him go, and then he was all grateful.
I must have missed that part. And then, like, the girl, when he tells the girl fish, you know, that he just wants to be friends with her, and then she takes off, and then he starts chasing her, and then he tells the crowd to tell her that he loves her. I'm like, what? Wait a minute, he just met her. Huh? What? I mean, I guess like there's such thing as love at first sight. I do believe in, but I don't know about with fish. So, I mean, he technically was human, but the fish wasn't. So I don't know. It just seemed weird and off. Although the female fish was definitely into him, and he liked the female fish, I guess. Um, so they were probably a better match than him and his human wife. But yeah, just seemed like they rushed that without any kind of background at all with it. It's just like they met, and then they're like, she's like wanting to bring him to the place to go mate. And you know, next thing you know, he loves her or something. When the whole time he was just kind of protesting. So I don't know, just seemed weird to me. But yeah, go ahead. Just wanted to interject that weirdness to me.
Yeah. So the friend jumps in to try to save him. But when he jumps in, he doesn't see anything the first time he jumps in. The second time he jumps in, he sees Mr. Limpet as the fish, but he doesn't recognize him at all. He just notices that his spectacles are on this fish, and he mentions that. But a little bit before that's when Mr. Limpet, as the fish, um, starts to realize, oh, what about Bessie? What do I do about Bessie? So he goes to the surface to, to try something. He kind of runs into his friend, and that's that. And he gets up to the surface, and they basically think that Mr. Limpet is drowned. And even though there's no body or anything like
Oh yeah, he can't swim.
they kind of go on with their lives. And that's when it goes back to Limpet and his story underneath the sea. He finds friends with this ornery crab. He calls Krusty. In fact, when he calls him Krusty, he gets ornery. And he's like, "Who are you calling Krusty? You." But I guess he realizes that he can make this sound that kind of sounds like
After he gets kicked out. The shark that had chased him into the little underwater cave was still around prowling, and he like was scared, and he made that noise, and the shark went flying, and the little cave started falling down, and he's like, "It's an earthquake! It's a tsunami!"
Well, and he was like, "You better stop that noise. up until an octopus is started to wrap its tentacles around him, and just when he was about to be whatever, he made that noise again and saved him, and he's like, well, maybe you might come in handy, type of thing.
Yeah.
So, but shortly after that is when um, they go inside a sunken wreck where they talk about torpedoes. He's like, well, what kind of thing can make that a torpedo? Well, what the hell is a torpedo?
Oh, that reminds me. Sorry for interrupting. That reminds me of something we haven't discussed at the beginning. Like when he found out that he was 4F and that he couldn't go to the war, and apparently he was disappointed about that. I was like, I cannot understand that mentality of being unhappy not to go to the war, like being fucking happy that you are going to stay alive.
Hey,
Because people were
war was
very
something
patriotic.
that every young male of fighting age wanted to go to,
People
because
are very patriotic. Then I mean, you never saw Captain America.
Yes.
He was extremely upset that he wasn't able to go into the Navy. And I mean, into the military. And he finally did get in, but then he couldn't really do anything until he volunteered to become Captain America, and then even as Captain America, they just wanted to sideline him and make him a um just to be the face of the war. Basically making all the soldier serum useless, because like anybody can do the entertaining. Like, why the hell you having their best soldier doing that? But then when he goes and saves all the POWs, it changed everything. So basically,
Yeah, but
what I'm saying though is just it's being patriotic. You want to
there
fight for your
was
country and fight for your beliefs and your freedom. Now, I don't believe in war myself, but I do understand people that do, and understand why they believe in what they believe in.
you understand that they would prioritize something like that over their own life.
Well, yes, I mean
Uh,
people want to make their life mean something, and sometimes that means give their life to something that's more important than they are.
at at that point in time, also, being part of the war effort was important to the United States, um, because, well, because it was patriotic, as you said, but it was also doing your duty for your country, and it unfortunately, when you're part of a country, when you're living as part of a country, each country has its certain rules, and each country has its reasons for you to be a citizen of its country, and there are rules and regulations that have been instilled in this country forever. It's just people have been fighting them forever. And now it's become a point where people are so pussyfooted that they don't want to go to war,
well,
or even
they
kill
want
another person just to try to save your
I
country
wouldn't
from
say
being bombed out.
pussyfoot going to war. If war came to us, I know everyone would fight them back, including non-military people. It's probably more a matter of why we're going to war. Like, when Bin Laden did 9/11, I think the entire nation was in agreement that we need to get the bastard, and didn't matter if that meant war or not. But when we're going to other countries and telling them how they should run things, or going to other countries and butting in between their conflicts and everything, people are against that. And not to get political on the show, but just saying a different point of view that I wouldn't call it pussyfooting. War is stupid, but sometimes it's needed, but it's always stupid.
Yes,
Yeah, I
war
must.
is stupid, and I'd rather be peaceful, but war is necessary at times.
At
I
times.
must say, even though some people who might hear this might hate me for saying it, but if I was in any war situation, my primary concern would be to stay alive and preferably stay as far away from it as possible.
Well, and there would be probably some people that would probably be like, okay, then why are you part of my country? If you're
I
not
would
gonna
say
gonna be willing to fight for it.
I would say because I was born in your country, it's not like I get not to choose the country I would be born in.
Word.
I hear you, but there are some people who get patriotic, even so, and would be like, uh, in order to keep and live in your country, you got to be able to also fight for the right to be there as well. Um, so I mean, if we didn't have people fighting for us, we probably wouldn't have a country. That's the way I look at it.
I
It is
agree, but likewise, there are some people cut out to do that, and there are some that aren't.
I agree.
Uh,
At the end of the day, I know that I am probably not military material myself.
and do you
I'm
think
not,
I
nor
am?
ever will be, nor ever wanted to be. Not just physically, but mentally. I mean, I just,
Right.
I, I just, I have an issue with authority. I have an issue with stupidity. Yeah, everything the government is, I'm against. Just about.
Uh,
So, yeah,
same here.
But
yeah.
regardless,
I can't just blindly follow somebody because they gave me an order to.
Pretty much, yeah.
we are now at a point where I believe they are at this sunken ship, and I believe it's Limpet who realizes that there is a fish nearby, a growlfish that is caught on a hook by some fishermen from above, and he realizes that she needs help, so he takes and swims and bites the line, frees her, and she's like all like in lovey-dovey mood with him, and he's a little bit nervous because he's just a freshly fished dude. Uh, so, um, but she wants to go to the spawning grounds with him, and I don't think he's quite ready. And they
No, he's not ready at all. He's what?
uh,
Spawning ground, aka breeding grounds.
and another
Um,
fish comes nearby them. I think it's a sturgeon.
It looked like a sawfish to me.
Yeah, something, but
I mean, not a sawfish, a swordfish.
she got a
uh,
little scared, and he's like, "Well, watch this," and he blew his horn. He blew his fucking noise, and he blew it away, and she was like, "Oh, you saved me. That's why I like you," and all that jazz. And
No,
the
she said he was special.
the crustacean dude was like, "Oh crap! Now I got to deal with this musky shit."
He was funny.
But I believe that's when Limpet decided that you know what, I'm gonna go see what the Navy can if the Navy can use me, you know. And he was
Well,
talking.
he saw that the Navy was shooting at the sub, and he saw that the Navy had completely missed. I think they were like sitting still to make it seem like maybe they were shot down. So he wanted to let the Navy know that they did not shoot the submarine down,
That's
and
right.
that he could actually guide them to shoot it
Yep.
down.
And he figured out the depth at which the submarine was at, or the U-boat,
Yeah, because he was really smart as a human, maybe annoying but smart.
and he guided them to do a charge, and it blew up the U-boat. Boat. But the Navy was not sure whether Limpet was in fact uh, enemy or friend, friend or foe. So
So they tried to kill him because he couldn't give the signal that he
correct, and
was a
they couldn't
friendly
find
ally.
him wherever he was, and he finally told them, "Hey, why don't you find me my friend Stickle of this class, and then I'll be back here in a day."
George Stickle.
Yep, George Stickle. Uh,
Pickle?
Pickle.
No, not Pickle. Stickle.
Pickle.
so we get this meeting with like one of the guys in charge, and he tells them that they might have found a secret weapon, and he gives them the go ahead to you know find out what the secret weapon is, and but this is your responsibility to keep it top secret. You know, so he goes back, finds George Stickle, and he's all like saying, "I don't know why I'm here. Uh, I don't even know what the fuck is going on."
Can I ask a question? No, you may not. I'll ask the questions. And then he doesn't ask any question. He just tells them. Military.
And Limpet starts to talk to George Stickle, and he says, "I'm Henry Limpet," and he's like, "Okay, this is bullshit. This shit. Henry Limpet is dead, although that voice does sound like him." Uh, and
That
he asks that George Stickle come out and meet him. So they put him in a life raft.
Which he protests.
He does still protest, yes.
Yeah, he does not want to go out into the water. He's deathly afraid of whatever that voice is, and he doesn't want to have to be the one to go out there. He doesn't mind. He doesn't mind signing up to go to war, but he doesn't want to go out in the middle of the ocean in a lifeboat. Which I can't say I can't blame him, not because of the voice, but sharks and stuff.
No,
yes.
this was definitely not his original plan when he signed up for the Navy, was it? But he ends up going out into the lifeboat, and Henry Limpet shows himself eventually. Um, and he basically startles him, but he begins to mention things that only Henry Limpet would know, and that's when he starts believing him, and he's like, "All right, George, I think I can show myself to you now." And at first, he's like startled as fuck, but once he sees him
Oh
again,
yeah,
he starts to.
forgot about him passing out twice, or passing out
Yeah,
once, and then almost passing out a second time. The first time he said who he was.
yep. He was not believing at
Which is
first.
about the only time that he was funny in the movie when he passed out.
Actually, yeah, I found that whole scene with Henry appearing to those people as a fish, and then with George and all that. I did laugh at that part.
I laughed even later at the part where the general dude or whatever the fuck his name was when he was like um he was
Promoting him.
yeah promoting him. He's like he's not there. He's over there. You know,
You can see him maybe if I care to look.
right?
He didn't want anything to do with it.
And yet he had no problem with
I
the
was supposed to say he had no problem taking the promotions and pay raises and stuff.
but yeah. Um, but going backwards to he basically Mr. Limpet basically says, "Hey, I want to help the Navy, and I want to help them find these new U-boats. Tell them that I will do this for them." So he does go back and tell him that he's basically a fish, and then that guy goes and turn and tells his general that the secret weapon is a fish. He's like a fish.
Well, actually, he doesn't tell him it's a fish. He tells him he just tells him it's a mysterious voice.
I thought that he told him it was a fish.
No, he said it was a mysterious voice.
I
But
thought
then
I told
somebody
you.
go and then somebody says there's something fishy about this.
Yeah,
Yes,
that was quite a little
I like
thing,
corny jokes.
tidbit in there. Something fishy about this.
And I know it's kind of funny whenever he keeps coming to him to tell him certain things. Like he's in the middle of a demonstration with another with the dude in charge of him, like later on, and he's trying to tell him that the secret weapon wants a pay raise. He wants a lieutenant's pay.
Yeah, he wants to get paid because he wasn't getting paid at all, and he wants the money sent to his human wife, and he wants the rank of lieutenant, and and the dude's like, well, I guess we can do the pay, but then he flips his lid when about giving him rank, and the other dude that is just like, I don't care what the situation is, give him what he wants. He's our secret weapon, which makes sense because he was the key to all their victories and their wins
Oh
and
yeah,
he wasn't
before
asking for anything outrageous just to get paid
bef-
like any other serviceman would be, and to have a rank just like any other
before
serviceman
this, we
should.
had
So
a U-boat explosion montage of him going and
yeah. And of
uh,
course, the Russians
To the
figured it out that this limpet, because they said it's limpet. So they
uh,
figured out this limpet is some kind of secret
so,
weapon.
thought it was the German.
sorry, what did you say? Who figures it out?
The Nazis.
I think you said something different
I
previous
think you said the
time.
Russians.
Maybe I did, but I meant to say the Russians. Apologies to the Russians for that atrocity. But now you're fighting Ukraine, so yeah, screw you. But anyway, anyways, so the Germans, the Nazis, kind of figured out that they had some kind of secret weapon codenamed Limpet. Of course, they didn't know it was a fish or anything else, but they did figure that part out. Now, like you said, they tried to devise a way to deal with it, but they never did. They never could
No,
figure
they
it out.
didn't.
As a
They
matter of fact,
tried to
they
devise a
kept trying
weapon.
to shoot it with missiles, and instead of shooting it, he figured out that he could call the missiles towards him, and they move out of the way quickly, and they hit themselves. And they just kept doing it too, so they weren't too bright.
No, they thought that just by attracting the point of the missiles to the sound that Das Limpet, which is what he became known as to the Germans, Das Limpet, Because we get a whole montage of German soldiers saying "Das Limpet, Das Limpet," So, but yeah, that they think that they've got the best of him, but Limpet figures it out. But you know, there was a moment where he gets distracted, and he loses his spectacles. And the American convoy is getting closer and closer to this group of U-boat submarines, and it's at this moment that Ladyfish ends up going back to that sunken ship that they originally met at, and finds Krusty, and Krusty relays to her message that that Limpet really loves her.
And of course, he shows up and sees her, and then goes to the crab and says he's in trouble because
Well,
he
he
needs
doesn't exactly
glasses.
see any of them because he's got no
Yeah,
glasses.
he doesn't have glasses. He can't see very
Uh,
well. Everything
uh,
he can see a little, but everything's blurry. And
oh yeah, yeah. I found that scene a little confusing. When he was looking for the glasses, why was he keeping his eyes closed most of the time?
I think he was squinting. Like when
Oh,
you have trouble seeing, squinting helps
oh,
seeing a little bit.
oh, yeah. I see.
I
Yeah.
think the part that I always seem to laugh at, though, the most is when the general guy goes to his leader in command, and he tries to tell him that the wife wants them to turn him from a fish back into a human.
But I thought that was so stupid. One sec he turns around and says, "Well, then do it," and then he goes, "Don't be absurd. Don't do it. Like he's our best weapon." Like a second ago, you just said to do it. Like I don't know. I just found that
Yeah,
retarded.
yeah.
I kind of laughed at that though.
I didn't, but again, I don't like stupidity. So
The whole idea of a fish having a human wife and their discussion about that was funny too.
that part was funny. Okay, so I admit that half of it was funny, but
Yeah.
and then he's like, "Well, turn him back." Like just a matter of fact
Just
of
reverse
doing
it.
it. And he's like, "Well, he got turned that way, so just undo
Reverse
what
it.
just reverse it." It's like, but they don't
Yeah.
know how. They
But
don't
we
know
don't
how
know.
he got turned into a fish. So therefore, how are they going to
Just
reverse
do
it
it.
if they don't know how he got turned into one? You
Right.
can't reverse
The guy
engineer
who.
something that when you don't know how it was engineered in the first
We
place.
will try our best, sir.
And then that's when he says, "You will certainly won't." And he even looks at him like, "What? You just told me?" Like his look on his face was, "You just told me to do it." Like it just, I don't know. It just seemed really stupid. Like the conversation had a good reason, and then they ended it to make it seem like it was useless.
Well,
Like what was the fucking point of the conversation? You know.
instead of going for a new pair of glasses at that moment, Krusty decided to say, "Hey, I'll be your other pair of eyes."
Oh, I don't want you to go. I don't want to risk your life. Risk my life. I better turn. I better put in something
Torpedo
more combat like or something. And he puts a tin cup on his
shell.
back instead of his shell. Which
What's
I think
funny
shell
is
is
that there is
his shell
a.
looks stronger.
What's funny is that the word limpet also is the name of a mollusk that is not unlike Krusty the Krab
Huh.
in real life. Evidently, it's a type of crustacean that is called a limpet. So,
Huh.
but in any case, so we have Krusty the Crab and Limpet going off uh, and towards the convoy of American ships, and he uses his boat horn noise to attract them, but it also attracts the U-boats. And the first U-boat fires, and I think that's when he realizes that those U-boat torpedoes actually react to the sound,
Doesn't
and
the
he
crab tell him?
let's use it to return it back to its source.
The crab tells him.
Yeah, the
He's like,
crab.
will you stop making that noise? They're attracted to it.
Well, let's
Yeah, it's crazy. Like in one way, he's like incredibly smart, and he's completely stupid in other ways, like street smart, or in this case, ocean smart. You know.
Well, if
So
he could have seen, he would have seen it was attracted to him.
yeah, that's what I'm
Because
saying. He doesn't have common sense.
well, he couldn't see it. The crab
Still,
saw it, and that's why.
still, he's smart and everything else. I mean, why couldn't he figure that out on his own?
because everything that he was doing was based on his sight.
Yeah, you have all the senses, you know.
Maybe because he had the brain of a fish.
Quite literally, he might have. I knew something smelled, but in any case,
Maybe he had the memory of a goldfish.
maybe he had the memory of a tuna fish.
I don't know what that memory is.
Not very much, because those are very small fish.
Tunas can be really big.
Can be. But
Goldfish are always small.
Now I'm kind of hungry for some sushi.
well, in any case, he
You should be
takes
ashamed.
out all of the U-boats by the. I love how at first there was one, then there were two, then there were four torpedoes to return. You know,
And then Spudao.
yeah. I mean, it just literally it seemed like the torpedoes multiplied just to show you the danger. You know,
There was no danger for him. It was
no,
all for them.
but he was able to.
When there was four of them, he took out two ships at once.
Yeah. I do think those parts were awesome.
It was funny.
But after all of this, he ends up going back to the Coney Island pier, and
Well, yeah, because he's told Mrs. Fish that he loves her and all, but he can't commit to her because he's married and has a wife and she does ask if that's another signatism and
Oh, that
he
was
says
funny.
no, and then he's I think that might have happened earlier, but still it was funny. But he decides that he wants to at least say his piece to his wife, basically that he's happy being a fish, and you know how are they gonna continue being in a relationship with him being a fish and her being a human, and so basically you know he lets her have that conclusion herself, but you know he thinks he at least owes it to see her and you know say something to her, even though you know he sent the checks to her and he made sure that she was taken care of. He did right by her, even if she deserved it or not. But that's what you're supposed to do when you're married. So he was definitely a good man fish. So yeah, and of course she says, well, you know, it's not like I can just keep you in the tub and what would the neighbors think, and blah blah blah. And so she basically says, are you really happy you're there? And because it seems like at this point she seems like she actually does care about his feelings and how he feels, and she doesn't seem too upset at this point that he's alive, but he's a fish and he's gonna live in the sea. But yeah, she ends up. Of course, she ends up with with George, which like I said, seemed like they should have been together all along. So
Yeah,
yeah,
But yeah,
pretty
she gives
much.
him a spare spectacle, and then we.
and
Uh,
what I don't understand is why didn't you have normal glasses where with like things on the sides, to put on your ears, like to keep it on, like why was he just wearing two eyeglasses?
oh,
Who?
those were just his spectacles, just the way they
Right?
were.
Why didn't he? Why didn't he have full glasses?
Uh, I think those were the spectacles, at least of the time. They were
No,
to
because
it.
of the woman in the beginning that helped him find his glasses. She was wearing glasses, and she was wearing normal glasses.
He just liked spectacles, and spectacles for
Well,
nerds were kind of the thing.
it was pretty stupid because there was nothing holding on to your face.
There was the chain that was attached
I
to.
didn't see no chain on his.
There was it just
No, there was no chain on his. There was nothing. He just had two glasses on his face with nothing.
well, I do remember people having them.
I've seen people with a monocle, and that having the chain like you said, but never two of them. It's basically like and then no chain at all. I've never seen that.
Well, I don't remember him having a chain because he even took his glasses off to clean up at
Yeah,
the office and
yeah, he
dropped
did not
them.
have a chain.
I couldn't even find them. The lady that had really Coke glasses came over and found his glasses for him
Yep.
because he
Yeah,
didn't have them attached in any way, and he lost them just by trying to clean them.
yeah. And he lost him again as a fish, which
Yep.
I mean, he was a fish. How the hell was he supposed to stay on his face? Couldn't stay on his face as a human, never mind a fish.
Well, in any case, we get out of this reverie of a story, and they they're basically saying that they still have to try to find him, even after though at the end there he said, "Don't have them try to find me," you know. Um, and
Because they
we
need his help because all of a sudden the porpoises and stuff are a lot smarter than they thought they should be and they thought that he was teaching them. But no known fact, or maybe you do know, porpoises are very smart and very intelligent. Um,
and those who want to want to never be found are normally never found.
and I think it's weird how he thought that we're like derived from fish though. I'm like, we're derived from monkeys. Like, yeah. Uh, well, that was a weird thought.
Oh, the whole fact that at one
Yeah,
point
that
we
we
were a
were
race.
derived from fish. Yeah, I did like the one thing the wife said when he said we're derived from fish. She goes, "Maybe you are, but I'm not."
It was an interesting theory because
It was
evolution
interesting. It
was
was completely wrong, but interesting.
it's possible that he was wrong. You never know. It might have been an interesting theory at one point in time.
I just said it's interesting, but it's wrong.
Yeah, the whole evolution theory is technically based on the fact that we were apes first.
Because we were.
But in any case, uh, at the end of everything, what did we think about production?
I thought it was fun and unique. Putting the um, anime along with the real people, and I think that how they did it was good. I mean, I don't think they went totally overboard. I mean, and at the beginning of the movie, it says that they thank the Navy, and so that part I think was cool that they because it looks like they probably used real Navy ships and everything, and I think that part was cool that they were able to. Um, Other than that, I don't think they had to really go too expensive on things, and I think it was a fun movie. I think for its time, it was neat.
Okay. What about you, Gro?
What was that?
What did you think about production?
But I guess it was fine first time. The animation was fun. Like I said, it really it felt like a Disney movie, and Disney was never cheap either. I mean, not saying that WB is either. Not usually. So, I mean, as far as production goes, it was top notch, especially for its time. So, no complaints about it, and everything looked the way it's supposed to look as far as I know. I mean, I wasn't around in the '40s, so I don't know exactly how things should have looked, but it seemed to look okay. I mean, they didn't really go too much into the actual war, with the exception of the um, Nazi submarines
Yeah, the
and
Nazis they kind of treated like Keystone Cops.
yeah, I did think one thing though, that I wanted to mention is, why were they speaking English? They're on their submarine talking to their people. Why were they speaking English? They should have been speaking
Uh,
German,
Speak
and they should have had subtitles for
they speak
what they
part of it
said.
in German and part of it in English.
Yeah, see, I I
mm,
don't I don't like reading my movies, but when there's a scene where people don't speak English and they shouldn't be speaking English, are speaking to each other, they should have had them speak German and then just told us what they said in you know after is my opinion. I mean, it's not a big deal. I guess they just didn't think of it that back then. But yeah, that's how it should have gone.
It should have gone with like regular subtitles.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It should have, like which they do in movies all the time, or even languages that are made up, like Java, Java the Hutt in Return of the Jedi. They had subtitles when he was talking.
Hmm.
Of course, not originally in the theaters. Um, that was added later, but it's kind of cool that the
Oh,
subtitles
so
were
he
added.
was actually speaking English in the original theater.
No, no, he was just speaking. You just didn't. Um, you just heard what C-3PO said. He said. You never got to read what he actually said. So you just had to take C-3PO's translation as exactly what Jabba said. Whereas later, they added his subtitles for what he said, so you can actually read exactly what Jabba says, and then hear what C-3PO says. He says,
Huh, interesting.
"Yeah."
But what about you, Boris? What did you think about the production?
I think it was quite good actually. It somewhat reminds me this combination of animation and live action of the movie we were doing a while ago, Song of the South. That one did a very similar thing to this, and I think it was from around the same time too. And yeah, that was a Disney movie, which is why this movie it seems even more like a Disney, even though it seemingly isn't. Yeah, it was definitely very well done. I imagine mixing animation and live action was probably very challenging back then. So
Well, I have to say one thing about that. Roger Rabbit was WB, and Roger Rabbit was phenomenal action and a live action and animation, and actually Disney was in that because they had a working relationship to the movie, but that was a WB movie, so you actually got to see Disney characters. And WB characters interacting with each other, which I thought was one of the greatest things about
Yeah,
Roger
that
Rabbit.
was
Um,
definitely during the
besides besides Mrs. Rabbit, because Jessica is whoo.
That's one of my
that
dad's
was
favorite movies is
that
Roger.
was definitely during the revival of the Warner Brothers cartoon period.
I'm
Because
not.
it didn't completely die off.
I'm
Who
not
did
bad.
Cool
I'm just
World?
drawn that way. That is the uh, best saying there is. I'm surprised there isn't more memes out there with that with women saying that. I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Who did the movie Cool World?
I don't know. Never
Oh,
saw it.
Cool World. Let me look it up real
because
quick.
that's got anime too.
It's not Disney.
That was Ralph Bakshi. He was involved
Was
with
but was
that.
it Warner Brothers or who?
What company
Looking,
means?
looking Paramount.
Ah,
CBS.
Paramount Pictures and Bakshi Animation, which Bakshi Animation was behind the Lord of the Rings, Fritz the Cat, Wizards, Coonskin, Cool World, American Pop, and Heavy Traffic. So yeah. But let's go into the music.
well, were you done, Boris, with what you thought?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
wait, I suppose I should say something about production. Um, I thought the production was pretty good for its time, especially being that it wasn't Disney. And I think it's kind of funny how we look up to them now when it comes to animation. Uh, like we compare it to Disney-like adaptations of things, especially since this was originally a book as well. Most things are, but yeah. Um, this was originally written as a book by, let's see, I believe it was a novel by Theodore Pratt, um, who was the novelist behind this, and that was a story that was written in 1942. So, but in any case, the music. What did we think about the music involved? Because there were a couple of songs in here that made it kind of musical like. The music itself was by Frank Perkins, who it looks like he did things for Outside the Wire. He was part of the music department of Gypsy, and it all came true. Varsity Show from like 1937. He was a composer behind That's My Gal. Uh, let's see, looking. This he did. Let's see, looking a lot of stuff for westerns in the 50s, like Shadows of Tombstone and El Paso Stampede, Bandits of the West. He did some composer stuff behind stock music. Jungle Drums of Africa, Toughest Man in Arizona, Zombies of the Stratosphere, which was a 50s science fiction film. I think Leonard Nimoy was in that one.
Whoa.
Who?
Leonard Nimoy,
Who's that?
Spock.
Oh, Leonard Nimoy.
His name has been pronounced as Nimoy or Nimoy.
By nobody on the first one except for you, and the second one, everybody.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, um, that's as far as the music goes. Did anyone else have anything on the music?
Well,
No, it just sounded real Disney-ish.
uh, yeah, pretty much. It does sound like some Disney music from that time
Well,
period.
to me, what I got out of it was "Be careful what you wish for," which is basically like an Aesop's fable type, you know, um, moral. Be careful what you wish for, because times whenever you make a wish, you gotta be careful what you wish for. Sometimes. Oh, we lost Kroll for a moment, but
Oops.
I guess we're on to favorite scenes or favorite characters. So why don't we begin? Oh, let's invite Kroll back. Give me a second here. Pop-up window.
Ouch, I got booted.
Hello.
Evidently, Das Limpet did his big horn and blew you away. But in any case, I think we are at the favorite scenes and or favorite characters. So, Kroll, if you had a favorite scene and or favorite character, what would you take from this movie?
Character is the crab. He's funny.
He
Um,
is.
Scene. I don't know. I guess it was kind of funny with the female fish. Kept pulling him to go to the breeding grounds or whatever the hell she called it.
Spawning Browns.
Yeah, same thing. She was just like she's a fish. They don't believe in modesty or they just have instincts. She had the instinct that she wanted to mate with him, and that was that.
Uh-oh.
kind of,
We
and you lost.
Okay, and what about you, Boris?
My favorite character, uh, uh, probably Lady Fish, even though she didn't have that much screen time. I would have liked Henry. I found him somewhat relatable about him. Having a hobby that no one understands and everyone giving him crap over that, but then he really ruined himself for me when he gave in to his wife and got rid of his fish only because that was what she said. Yeah, I guess the lady fish would be my favorite character, but favorite scene, probably the one when when Henry was communicating with those people as a fish, and they were just hearing a voice and weren't realizing it was a talking fish talking to them. That was funny. And later on, when George got involved in that too, those were probably the funniest moments to me personally. Oh, and yeah, of course, when he blew up the Nazi ships with their own torpedoes, there were some good spudowns there.
Okay. What about you, Tammy? Favorite character and/or favorite scene?
Oh, I like Limpet. I like them better as fish, you know. But my I like some of my favorite scenes is like when he first realizes that noise he makes. When he first realizes he has the noise, you know, and then like every time he makes it is like, you know, it's funny because it's like, where does that come from? You know, fish don't normally make a noise like that. You know, where does this noise
They
come from? You know,
don't normally sound like a boat horn.
no, and it's like so every time he makes that noise, it's like funny, and I like, I do agree with Felipe. I like how he uses his that noise to blow up the Nazi ships. You know, it is pretty cool.
Okay. I would have to say I have two favorite characters. I like the crab, and I do like Limpet. Both of them. Um, in syncopation. I like the crab, Krusty, because he is just comical throughout. I mean, makes those offhand comments, that's when you can it can tell you actually got a character here, you know. Um, and Limpet, well, I think he does better as a fish than he does as a human. So, um, and he always wanted to be a fish, and yeah, I think this was an interesting story of you know, entertainment that what if a human turned into a fish, and what if this fish had special abilities that could help the Navy against one of their most antagonistic countries that they went up against, you know. Um, so it was amusing because they made the Germans out to be like these keystone characters, and the reason why I say keystone is because a lot of uh, characters in authority they would make look like they were the fools, like they would make them purposely look stupid, and they were called keystone cops or keystone characters. I'm explaining it to you, Boris, because I'm not sure if you know the terminology.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with it. I'm sorry.
In earlier comedies, they were more well known. Often we would poke fun at people in authority of any kind, and they would eventually become Keystone Cops or Keystone this or you know. Uh, so that's what we mean when we refer to them as Keystone characters. Um, Oftentimes they would be in like Charlie Chaplin films or Abbott and Costello or Laurel and Hardy films or Marx Brothers. Um, Definitely Wheeler and Woolsey had some stuff there too. But yeah, whenever you put an authority character like the Germans, uh, they were a little bit bungling, weren't they? So, um, which made them look all the more stupid. But um, I I think my favorite scene. I think my favorite scene is or scenes is um, when Limpet is taking care of those torpedoes, one after
Spodal.
the other, and it's like at first it was one torpedo, then it was two, then it was four, and so on and so forth. I loved that montage of ships going down for some reason. It's entertaining, and
It's a Spodal.
but yeah. Um, unless anyone else has anything else to say on the
Mm,
film.
I don't really think so, as far as I can remember.
How about you, Kroll? Did you have anything else to say, or is that pretty much it?
Kroll, you're muted.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought you got abducted by aliens.
I just
Well, I don't know when I did that, but oops. I've been talking, so yeah, I think I've said anything, and whatever I said in the last few minutes when I muted myself, I don't remember. So,
Oops.
uh, yeah. Oh, I did say that that was a good scene. The whole missiles, them shooting, trying to shoot him, and him making them blow themselves up, and how stupid they were. Keystone Cup like blowing themselves up. Um, yeah, I 100% agree with the Keystone Cup thing. Yeah, that's exactly what they made the Nazis out to be. Which is always fun. You know, I actually knew the security guards at my high school were basically Keystone cops. Although they were not cops. They were high school.
the cops.
Yeah, they were definitely they were old and definitely Keystone like, and yeah, they were very easy to get around when you wanted to leave school. Not that I would know anything about that. So yeah,
Yeah, these days you would have to say that schools have SWAT teams as security guards.
yeah, they're all cops now, and some of them they kind of need it. Like yeah, somebody was stabbed in the bathroom at my old high school
Oh.
week, and I just said that's not surprising. I mean, it was bad when I went there. Never mind nowadays.
I mean, we only had some silly stuff go on before the Columbine thing happened when I was in high school. I mean, I remember a friend of mine threw a fart machine down the hallway. Uh, that was study hall. Someone took the family of ducks that was right next to our high school and let them out in study hall. Um, things of that nature. But then after Columbine, we started having like bomb threats and left in different places. So
that was kids trying to get out of school. We had one at my high school.
we had several where we had to like stand outside several times.
But yeah, it was just there was like if anyone calls in a bomb threat to school or anything like that, it's automatically they had to clear out the building and call the police and everything. So, obviously, if you're caught, you're in big doo doo. So, definitely not something you want to do to get out of school. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's why there was a volunteer called on my high school.
Yeah, that whole situation was kind of sad to begin with, but in any case, hopefully you all who have been listening have enjoyed our conversation on the incredible Mr. Limpet. I think we had fun, and hopefully you let us know down in the comments what you thought of the film, and if you haven't seen it, see it. Unfortunately, it's not a film that you can find streaming all that much. I mean, I know it's on Internet Archive, but
Yeah, you can.
who knows how long you can see it on the Internet Archive.
Yeah, all you have to do is type in, if you have a Roku TV, TSL, a normal Roku TV, just type in the Incredible Mr. Limpet, and it'll take you to an app, which I'm not even sure the name of the app because it didn't have a name, it just had a symbol. But not only that, there was only two commercial breaks. And they were super one commercial fast. So it was actually, I wouldn't mind watching more stuff on that one because it was pretty decent, unlike some other free sites that inundate you with ads.
Alrighty. Well, next week we'll be returning to you guys with a pick from Kroll. Did you want to tell the folks out there what we're going to be discussing next week?
Throw me under the bus when you knew I didn't even know what I was going to watch. But actually, while we were doing this I actually looked up some movies, and I decided I wanted to go with something I haven't seen because I don't do that too often. I like to because I've seen a lot of movies, and I like to talk about them. But let's go with something I haven't seen. There's a movie from last year called The Northman or Northman. And it
Ye-
looks really good. It's definitely some kind of um more of an war movie, but you know like
I wa-
like Viking times war type of war
uh,
movie, which I like. So
uh, I I watched that one in theaters a while ago.
well, okay, cool. So this time we're gonna see a movie that I haven't seen, but you have, and it's my pick. Usually it's the other way around. It's your pick when you've seen it and I haven't. So
Oh, that's an irony.
it is. I don't know. Have you seen it, Dave?
Yes.
Okay. So everybody's seen it but me, but we'll be covering that next week, and hopefully, since my pick, I'll like it. And it sounds interesting. It looks like something that I'll like, and has good reviews. So yeah.
Very cool. And don't forget on our other channel, if you have not been paying attention, on Inside Movies Galore, we'll be covering the first Mummy movie from the Universal catalog.
Get
So,
on my mummy back.
but that being said, like, share, and subscribe. Again, let us know down in the comments what you thought of our discussion, and whether you thought we did it justice. Uh, uh, on that note, everyone say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good day.